Welcome back to CTRL-AC, the podcast where we talk about folding tablets. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Cole.
We don't actually mean folding tablets in the traditional sense.
No, we do not. We'll get into...
We mean folding not by design, but
Right.
by brute force. Not even brute, just by a little bit of force.
If you take into account J-Rig Everything's skills...
He just has to take, like, his thumb and just bend the thing and just... It's gone.
Right.
Gone.
So we'll get into that a little later. Our first story is TikTok's ban. We talked about this a couple times, and we've had an update.
So remember everything we talked about where we said, here's what's going to happen if it's signed. Here, the countdown would start if it's signed. All of it depends on whether or not it's signed. Okay, it was signed.
I mean, we all knew it was going to be signed.
So Biden signed the bill. TikTok ban is in effect. They're not banned immediately. So the countdown is what started now.
It's like 120 days or something, right?
Yeah. So they have a certain amount of time that they have to sell it to a non-Chinese CCP controlled country. And we don't know if that's going to happen or not. So they have 270 days to sell TikTok. So divided by 30, that's 9 months.
That's a lot more than I thought.
Yeah, they have 9 months to sell it. Here's the problem with that, though. And TikTok's suing the U.S. government now because they said it's unconstitutional. It's a ban on free speech.
So you're telling me that X and Twitter, or I mean, X and Reddit are allowed to exist. Not only they're allowed to exist, just scot-free, no issues.
Yeah, because they're the opposite. Like anything flies on X and Reddit.
Yeah.
Like TikTok is saying U.S. government's trying to shut down our platform, which is a violation of free speech. They're leaving out the allegations that they're harvesting U.S. users' data.
Right. Which,
I feel like that's a pretty important little side note.
Yeah, but they've also like proved that they are not doing it to the extent that they thought they were. Like, obviously, it's an app and it's going to need data to personalize it because that's what TikTok does. It feeds you an algorithmically based content feed based on what you watch, what you like, what you do on your phone. But that's not the only app that does that.
Well, I guess the argument from the U.S. government is that data shouldn't go to the government in China.
That's true.
The Chinese government shouldn't have all of our personalized data. I'm in favor of that. Yeah. I don't think any government should have all of that data.
But the U.S. government has everything they need to, they could possibly want.
Any government can find you, but no.
But I feel like their best way of doing about this is either just start a company in the U.S. and sell it to that.
They're gonna, I mean, they said they are not gonna sell it.
Sell it to Meta.
But they make too much money to just say, well, you got us.
Oh, yeah.
It's been a good run, guys. Speaking of too much money, here is the problem with selling it. There's no one that can buy it. Like, there's almost no company on the face of the earth that can afford to buy this.
Mr. Elon Musk.
Even he can't, though. Pulling up some links here, some numbers. Twitter was sold for $44 billion.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of obvious that TikTok would be worth more than X.
Yeah.
It is more worldwide. There are more users on TikTok. Mm-hmm. The data it has, like, it seems a lot more valuable than X. So what would you think TikTok is worth? If X is $44 billion and TikTok is way more valuable than X, what do you think? 80 billion, 100 billion, over 100 billion?
Well,
if you had to put
how
some
much
kind of...
did Meta acquire Instagram for?
Well, they created, right? Or no? Oh, no, it was early on, though.
They bought it for $1 billion.
But that was way
That was in
early
2000
on.
Something.
But if Twitter at its peak was 44 billion,
right?
TikTok at its peak, which
I'd
is
say 70
billion,
70 billion, which is not an insignificant amount of money.
Okay, so 70 billion seems kind of fair. Maybe it's more, maybe it's a little less. Apple is one of the most cash-rich companies in the world, just in terms of cash in the bank account. When Tim Cook goes to the Apple bank account and looks at the savings account, the number that he sees is 73 billion. So wow. Apple can't, even with the cash it has, go and buy TikTok.
Right.
It would have to start pulling some strings to figure out a way to do that.
What's the worth of TikTok right now? 66 billion.
66 billion. Yeah. So even Apple could not just buy it. Elon spent 44 billion on Twitter.
But just think,
he can't.
It's had a lot of controversy in the last 2 years. So it's not necessarily worth that dollar figure just because of everything that it's like been through, so to say.
I don't know. I think just the information alone that TikTok has on everyone, I feel like that is worth a lot more than Twitter, at least, which means at least more than 44 billion.
Right.
So we know Apple's the closest to being actually able to buy it, even though they don't actually have that much cash on hand. They have to
the
pull
U.S.
strings,
government
whatever.
actually buys it.
They said, watch this. It's our turn. That'd be hilarious.
They just like move the data to their servers.
And Donald Trump just pays out of pocket to buy TikTok. So the top 25 companies, if we just kind of go down the list of top companies, first is Microsoft. Mm-hmm. Could they benefit from TikTok?
They definitely could. Microsoft is sad.
Maybe not. They have Xbox. I don't know.
They've got money grabs.
They have money. They have money. Apple's second. We talked about them. Nvidia is on the list. These are just top S&P 500 companies. Nvidia, I don't see how they'd benefit from TikTok. The case that I've heard, this actually makes a lot of sense. Amazon would benefit a lot because Amazon shopping would be integrated right into the TikTok store.
Drop shipping goes crazy.
Which drop shipping would be insane. But like all these other companies, Meta has its hands full, Google maybe, but like Berkshire Hathaway, JP Morgan Chase, like Visa, Tesla, MasterCard, Home Depot is on here.
Home Depot buys TikTok.
Could you imagine?
It's just all tutorials on how to build things.
That'd be so much better than what we have now.
It would be. It'd actually be helpful.
All of the Gen Zers go from learning how to dance to like learning how to fix pipes.
Construct things and
like imagine you're what's like a 45-year-old's generation right now? Gen X.
Millennial?
Like above millennial. One more. Is it Gen X? What came before millennial?
Zoom? No.
Yeah, Gen X. Imagine if like a Gen X person, like 45, 50 years old, is like fixing something, like you do. And their 16-year-old kid comes in and is like, hey, Dad, I saw this on TikTok. Let me help you fix this.
Home Talk. Tick Depot.
Like that would save the whole generation. Home Depot should buy TikTok. That's it. So we'll see. I guess we have 9 months to see how this plays out. It is May. This was signed a couple weeks ago. We haven't done an episode in like a month. We've been all tied up with allergies,
end of school
stuff, and so we're kind of recapping last week's stories and the week before. But we'll see. That takes it all the way into 2025.
Yeah.
So very interesting. We're also about to come up to an election year. We'll see how TikTok handles that. We'll see how all the social media companies handle that. Should be an interesting one. Past few weeks, we also got a new Model 3 performance. So
we
Tesla
sure did.
Took the Highland Model 3, which I'm very impressed with, and threw some bigger motors on it, put some aero on it. We have the Model 3 performance now.
I like it. It looks good.
It looks cool. The front grille is different. The seats are all like racing-y.
Bucket seats?
Almost bucket seats.
No, those are bucket seats. They look like Recaros.
Are they? Yeah, they look cool.
They're bolstered.
The Tesla tweet says it has a performance-tuned chassis, quiet and comfortable cabin, 22% more power continuously, 32% more peak power, has 20-inch wheels, Pirelli P04 tires, better traction out of corners, better track mode, active dampering.
It has 36% better lift reduction. That's not insignificant at all.
That's good because when you floor those Teslas, they like wheelie.
Yeah.
Like the front lifts up pretty high. New seats, more aerodynamic, all great. Top speed of 163.
0 to 60 in under 3 seconds.
Right, 0 to 60 in 2.9. So remember those specs. Top speed of 163, 0 to 60 in 2.9. This starts at 54,000.
So, you know what else you can get for 54,000? The Nissan Z, the Dark Horse Mustang, and a Camaro.
M340i.
M340i.
This smokes all of
Yeah.
them. I'm not saying it's a better car or anything. I'm just saying
Sheer
it
performance
smokes
wise.
all. Also, if you apply the $7,500 federal tax credit that this is eligible for, that brings it down to $41,000.
Wow.
$40K for 2.9 seconds 0 to 60 and 163 miles an hour.
The new Honda Civic base models are $40K.
There's not a better deal in the performance car industry than this. Like this is now like the Model 3 Performance is like the new Mustang in terms of like cheap speed.
Honestly,
I just want the fastest car for the least amount of money.
I really like the way this looks.
It looks great.
It looks almost like a stance car from factory.
Yeah, it looks really good. And everyone who's driven a new Model 3 has said the interior doesn't creak anymore.
Oh,
the
wow.
quality feels better. The panel gaps have improved. Like it's nice. Ambient lighting throughout the whole thing. I would love to try this out.
It's like a more pretty Q60. Q60? Yeah, Q60, like the Infinity. 4 doors, fast sedan.
Yeah. I mean, the 4-door performance sedan market is really competitive and it's really good.
Yes.
Especially like all of the Germans, the AM or Mercedes, Audi, and BMW 4-door performance sedans are like the gold standard.
Pretty much.
Then you have like TLX Type S and Civic Type R kind of in this situation. This smokes all of them. Like cheap speed, Model 3 Performance is the answer.
Yeah.
Is it going to be as fun as those? I don't know. Probably not.
Wait, hold on. Can we get Hyundai to partner with them with their Ioniq 5N? Get some sounds, get some paddle shifters.
We need to talk about the Ioniq 5N in a future episode.
Yeah, future episode.
Because, man, if that technology is moved to all electric cars.
I'm buying an electric car. I'm sorry.
The complaint I have with electric cars is the same complaint every car enthusiast has. They have no soul. You floor it and it goes, and that's the only notable thing about it.
It's an empty driving feeling. And me and him have both driven electric cars, and that's how it feels. It just, you don't like connect with the car in any way.
You're like, whoa, it's fast, and that's the only thing it does.
You feel your head hitting the back of the seat. No vibration because there's no motor.
It's like you're on a rail.
There's no sound.
Yeah.
There's no like torque feeling, not torque feeling. You know what I mean though?
Yeah.
Like the change in RPM torque. It's just constant.
So what if you add
exponential
all of that?
Speed? Right.
Add like a simulated gearbox like the Ioniq 5N, add sounds.
Yep.
Add like a red line that will stop moving the car if you're banging off the limiter.
We're going to do our absolute best to find an Ioniq 5N.
I guarantee you no dealership has that.
We're going to find one. We're going to find someone who has one, and we're going to review that.
Model 3 Performance isn't the only new EV.
Right.
We have an electric G-Wagon. Now, hang on. Before clicking on the article, I don't know if you've seen a bunch of stuff on this. What would you name this thing? Mercedes electric cars are the EQS. EQ is like the Mercedes.
Right. So you'd think it would be E-Wagon.
Or like, yeah.
Wagon E.
G-Wagon
E.
Yeah. So the name of this, you ready?
Hold on. Yep.
The Mercedes-Benz G580 with EQ technology. That's the full name, with EQ technology. So that's awful.
Yeah.
Interior-wise, it looks just like a brand new G63 AMG. Looks like a G-Wagon. Has the Mercedes infotainment all throughout. What's it called?
I don't know.
What's that? What's Mercedes infotainment called? MBUX. That's it. That's all great. So the tech in this is going to be good. And it just looks like a G-Wagon. The back, instead of having a wheel on the back, you have an empty box for your charger.
That's crazy.
You can option that with a wheel, but it comes standard with the charger. And then spec-wise, it's not actually that great. Has an estimated range of 293 miles. It'll do 0 to 60 in like around 4 seconds. So it's not that fast. And it's just, I don't know. Performance-wise, it's not crazy. I bet there's an AMG model coming.
Oh, for sure.
Which is going to be a lot faster up there with like Hummer EV and stuff. But
it'll be heavy.
So that's all great. Who buys this?
People who buy this are the people who already have...
Who buys a normal G-Wagon?
People with a lot of money that want a tax write-off.
But it's not just people with a lot of money. It's a very specific kind of person buying a G-Wagon. If you have a lot of money and you're looking for an SUV, you have so many options.
You have a lot of options, which honestly are probably better than the G-Wagon.
You could go buy a Range Rover, GLS, X7,
Urus,
if you want to jump up a whole nother price category, Macan, Cayenne, all the stuff. That's a really great spot to be. The G-Wagon, though, is an interesting car because you can picture a G-Wagon driver if you think of one. In the Throttle House review, when they drove by another G-Wagon, they did the G-Wagon wave, and Thomas just took a wad of cash and like threw it at the windshield. Like, that is the type of person buying a G-Wagon. It is very much a status symbol.
There is that aspect of G-Wagon owners. There's like a whole stereotype around people who drive these cars. Not going to get into that.
They look like money.
Yeah.
They just look like money. They're like they're what the Hummer H2 or H3?
I don't remember.
Like the Hummer from the 2000s.
Yeah, I know what you're
Like if you were rich, you had a Hummer.
Right.
Even though it was an awful vehicle.
Like the drug dealer car.
Yeah.
That's the
The G-Wagon is like that. It's like money. It's kind of the only way to explain it. Now, it is a fantastic car, and I didn't want a G-Wagon because I didn't think very highly of it. And then I watched the Whistle and Diesel G-Wagon review, and it turns out the thing is like awesome off-road, and it's super durable, at least in that video. So I kind of love the G-Wagon after that, but it's still very much a status symbol. Does making it electric completely take that away? Because like with any other SUV, if you electrify it, people still had an incentive to buy the original gas one, and that incentive usually carries over to the electric one. If the motivation to buy a G-Wagon is just for the status symbol part, which I guess isn't everyone, but I assume it's like the vast majority of G-Wagon owners buy the thing because of how it looks. Does getting the electric one just completely ruin it?
Honestly, I don't know. I think it's like the same car. You can't tell that it's different unless you go and look at it.
But there's no sound. You can't hear the thing screaming down the road. Because the G-Wagons are all V8s too.
Right. I thought they had a V6 hybrid. Or am I crazy?
Oh yeah, it starts with an inline six, but that's the broke person.
Imagine being a broke.
We're not. You don't buy that. You buy the AMG.
Right. But I don't know, honestly. I feel like this is just another big SUV.
Who in the world would you recommend this to? An electric G-Wagon.
Depends on how much it is, honestly.
Oh, we know how much it is.
Oh. How much is it? Do I want to know?
Don't look at the article at all. I just want you to guess.
Is it more than the other G-Wagon?
The G550 base G-Wagon, brand new from Mercedes, is $150,000.
1,000.
Yeah. What is the electric one, if you had to guess?
Okay, let's just take something into consideration here. Is it close to 200K?
I can't answer that. The normal one starts at $150,000. What do you think this starts at?
High or low?
Higher or lower than $150,000? Higher.
Okay, so let's just take into account. You can get a 2020 Lamborghini Urus, which is objectively a better car than the G-Wagon, for roughly $200K.
Right. I mean, in the class of a G-Wagon, you're dealing with like X5 Cayenne. Like, I don't know if you're in Urus territory or not.
I'm talking about the electric one.
Oh, okay. So like electric luxury performance SUV.
Right. Or a Urus.
Yeah.
Which isn't exactly the most comparable little combo on the planet, but
that's well above 200. The Urus.
For a brand new one.
Yeah.
For a used one, you can get it for 200. So I'm going to guess 225.
Starts at 152. Goes up to 205,000 for the first edition, but it starts at 152.
Okay.
So it starts at the same price as the normal one.
So it's just picking between gas or electric at that point.
Yeah.
Huh. Well,
like
how much is the base model G-Wagon?
150.
So an inline 6 G-Wagon or an electric G-Wagon?
Yeah, but that's the brokey model.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Like we said, you're buying the AMG. Mm-hmm. You don't want people to think you're poor in the base model G-Wagon. I don't think we're not G-Wagon people. I think that's what we've discovered.
So actually, I drive a Honda Civic.
Yeah, I don't think we're
any kind of G people.
I'm
not part of the AMG.
That is not us.
Not part of the G-Wagon.
We'd love to review one. We'd love
if you
to
want
like
to send us one.
Sand dune jump the thing.
Okay, Whistling Diesel, calm down.
But dude, that video series is amazing.
The best one he's done.
That car is so durable though. He dropped it through a house.
He did.
And that G-Wagon was still there.
Her main Mercedes, it sure did do well. You know who I might be losing respect for because of a tweet? The senator of Massachusetts. Senator Warren tweeted, posted on X, "It's time to break up at Apple's smartphone monopoly. Also, come on, let's stop leaving green text people out of the group chats. It's just not right."
All right, so
couple things to break down here.
That's fine.
Right.
That's fine, I guess.
It's an opinionated statement. Okay, we all have those.
But then she posted a video too, and we're going to listen to this.
Green text on iPhones, they're ruining relationships. That's right. Non-iPhone users everywhere are being excluded from group texts, from sports teams chats to birthday chats to vacation plan chats. They're getting cut out, missing out on plans and conversations. And who's to blame here? Apple. That's just one of the dirty tactics that Apple uses to keep a stranglehold on the smartphone market.
If we just pause it there, none of that was bad. That's pretty factually correct.
I mean, it was...
Because Apple themselves have said in like emails that came out during the DOJ lawsuit that iMessage is a lock-in. So like all of that is fine. Let's continue.
Apple has used its monopoly on smartphones to lock Americans into services and amass billions of dollars in profits.
Still fine.
Apple even takes a cut every time you use Tap to Pay and has blocked a new app that would have let Android users finally use iMessage and get those blue texts.
There's the problem.
There is the problem.
So she's referencing Beeper,
which we talked about a couple weeks ago.
The app that signs into your Apple ID on a remote Mac Mini somewhere in a server room and routes all of your text messages unsecurely through iMessages to jerry-rig a blue bubble. So, to anyone who saw this video, yes, it is true that Apple has, blah, 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 monopoly, whatever. Beeper is not the answer.
I thought there was another app that came out after. What was it? The other one.
Beeper Mini?
No, it didn't start. It wasn't Beeper. It was something that it was like a big data problem. We talked about it. It had a backdoor through iMessage that let it pretend to be iMessage.
I thought it was the nothing phone thing.
No.
Sunbird.
That
was it. Both of those are the same thing.
But Sunbird's different. It doesn't use a remote data farm. Sunbird was more fine than the data farm, but still not great.
It's still logging into your Apple ID on a remote thing.
No, it didn't, though. That was the thing with it.
I'm pretty sure it did. It just used it. It has to do it somehow. Or was that the one that like used an Apple ID, what do you call it, identifier or tag or something?
Yeah, that was the problem because it had a loophole, which Apple didn't like, which I don't blame them.
Yeah.
You try to find a loophole in the U.S. government, you get put in prison.
Right. Let's finish the 10 seconds.
That's why last month, the Department of Justice sued Apple for its broad-based exclusionary conduct. And that's the right thing to do. It's time to break up Apple's monopoly now.
Okay, here's the thing, though. We've already won by getting RCS on the iPhone.
Yep.
Which is coming in iOS 18.
Which we'll get in a month.
I just don't understand the video. It has 8 million views on X. Mm-hmm. So to anyone that has seen that video, our public service announcement is the solution is already here. Like, it's RCS, which is coming to the iPhone.
Right.
We don't want beeper on the iPhone. That's a security risk.
Right.
We have RCS.
Which is, I just don't.
So Elizabeth Warren, if you're listening, good job saying that Apple monopoly is bad.
Because
monopolies are
bad.
Yeah. But also, beeper is not the answer. It's a security risk. RCS is the answer, and it's right around the corner.
It sure is.
Thank you for coming to our TED Talk. Speaking of controversial internet public service announcements, Rabbit R1 is here. Just like the Humane Pin, it is awful.
Yeah.
So it is another handheld AI device that is meant to, replace your phone and be like your hub for everything, powered by AI. And it is awful, per all of the reviewers who have gotten their hands on it. The software behind Rabbit is different from Humane because the Rabbit R1 uses this API thing that will basically just use an app for you. So when you order DoorDash on the Rabbit R1, it just kind of uses a web bot and like presses all the buttons on the DoorDash website for you. And that technology is incredible. So for example, if Apple implemented that into Siri with artificial intelligence, you could hypothetically tell Siri to order you a chicken sandwich and have it delivered. And Siri would know, go to DoorDash, it could read the page, figure out what button to press. That technology is great.
Make sure your address is right, make sure your name is right, etc.
In the Rabbit R1, not the best. That's pretty clear. But that kind of technology in other stuff, like Google I/O and DubDub are coming up really soon.
Yes, they are.
That kind of tech is in that, the idea behind it, the whole idea behind the Rabbit is phenomenal. Just poor execution.
Right. Like, it's just, if anything, it's just a device for more lazy people.
Well,
and
I think the people want the lazy tech. They just want it in the tech they already have.
Right.
With
And
them.
this is just, it's kind of redundant because it's a phone, but it's not a phone at all.
I'm running out of pocket space.
Right. I've got my wallet. I've got my AirPods. I've got my phone. I've got my Humane AI pin.
I have a screen strapped to my wrist.
Right.
Just put the Rabbit in there. That's what I want.
What a weird sentence. I've got a screen strapped to my wrist. Just put the rabbit in there.
Tell that to someone in like the industrial age and they'd be like, what in the world?
Even somebody like 50 years ago. Huh?
I want to bring the Humane AI pin back to like the factory workers of the 1900s and be like, guys, look, this thing projects onto my hand and I can sit on my couch and order DoorDash and it may or may not work. And they'd be like, well, we need to switch courses because that can't be the future we settle for.
But
we're all going to turn out to just be Wall-E people in the floating chairs with the Vision Pro.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Cole, at least if you have to sit in the chair with your Vision Pro, you could do it outside this summer in your brand new backyard.
I could.
If only you had a place, though, that could provide you with the best backyard possible. Only.
Do you know a place?
I do, actually.
Do you?
It's called the Complete Backyard.
Oh.
So what they do is they work with you every step of the way. They even 3D model your dream backyard, show it to you in the virtual simulator so you can see every little detail before they build it, and it will be perfect. Whether that's a pool, outdoor kitchen, cabana, whatever you want, they've got you covered. For a consultation, you can go to thecompletebackyard.com.
Might have to. So, we had an Apple event, and boy, do we like Apple events. WWDC is coming up in about a month, and we are very looking forward to that. But until then, we got the device event. So, what we got here was some new tech.
No new iPhones, in case you're
No new
wondering.
iPhones. We're not going to be getting new iPhones until September. But for now, we have some cool
Apple Pencils.
Apple. We've got some professional Apple Pencils. And in fact, we've got some folding tablets too.
That's the thing. I walked into this event saying my Apple Pencil is not pro enough.
Right. For
That's
the
the
iPads
problem.
that we have.
Yes. I need more professional
Why don't they make the Apple Pencil work on Mac?
because Macs can't have a touchscreen.
That doesn't need a
Why?
touchscreen.
Why do you ask? Because they said it a while ago.
When they tried it.
When the touch bar came out, Marquez asked Craig Federighi, why is there no touchscreen? He was like, well, you see, because we've perfected the touch bar. That's the solution.
So we got a very...
They proceeded to kill the touch bar 4 years later. And just to
Yeah.
in context.
We got function row though. Big key function rows. But back to the event. We had a very cinematic event overall.
Did. I love that. The post-COVID Apple format,
Yeah.
the pre-recorded event. It's fantastic.
I do think that the cool stage with what Steve Jobs was cool, but like this is just nice.
It's more visually
It's effective.
like, satisfying.
It
yeah.
is. So Tim, like we just said, came out and started talking about Vision Pro, his little
He
child.
made a claim.
He did.
He said this is the biggest day for iPads since the introduction, which put the expectations pretty high. Were they met? I guess we'll see. They started off with iPad Air. So iPad Air now has two sizes. We have an 11-inch Air and a 13-inch Air.
We do.
There's also a new 13-inch Pro, which we'll get to.
We will.
The 13-inch size is the same 12.9-inch iPad Pro size.
Right.
It's just they got tired of saying 12.9-inch,
And smaller bezels probably.
and so it's 13 now. But I have a 13.6-inch MacBook Air, and they round that down to 13. So like they're not afraid.
Isn't this 14.3?
That's 14.2.
14.2.
Mine's 13.6. So now the Air it comes in a big size. So
Which
if
is
you-
cool.
If you want a big iPad that's not the iPad
Pro. And for a little bit cheaper.
kind of a niche-ish market, but you can have a big Air now.
We also got a front-facing camera with center stage, but it's different. So the front-facing camera is now landscape.
Yes. So
not
if
portrait.
if you're holding the iPad vertically, like how it would come in the box,
Yep.
the front-facing camera used to be on top. Now it is on the side. Why, you may ask? Because when you put the iPad in landscape to place on your Magic Keyboard or to prop up,
Which we will talk about in a second as well.
yes, the camera is now on top in the correct position. It's not a side angle of your face. So this is nice for anyone who uses their iPad for video calls or anything like that. Landscape stereo speakers now, that's great. They come in kind of boring-ish colors. Blue, purple, starlight, and space gray.
I still think Starlight is one of the most gorgeous colors Apple's made.
It looks quite good.
I wish my Pro was Starlight, but it's okay.
I wish my Air was space black.
So this one is 50% faster than the previous Air, which is not insignificant, but also not that significant.
And guess what, guys? It literally does not matter that the iPad Air is faster. And we'll get to that after we talk about the pros. The Magic Keyboard was updated. This is kind of nice. So the floating Magic Keyboard, $350 accessory, now is aluminum. So it feels like a MacBook when you're using it. The trackpad is bigger, has better haptics now. It has a function row, and it has 60-watt pass-through charging through those little pins.
Yep.
Which is honestly impressive.
It is pretty impressive. So, we'll get into this later. But
Magic Keyboard may be worth buying.
Right. And we got my dad one a long time ago. Well, like 2 years ago.
Does he use it?
Yeah. I think he has an M1 Pro iPad.
Okay.
He has the M1 iPad Pro.
Yeah.
Will this keyboard work with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So same layout and everything.
Just has a function row now.
Yeah.
128 gigs of storage on
Which
the
is
iPad
good.
Air.
Because 64 gigs is getting really,
not
really
enough.
unusable very
Yeah.
quickly.
And 11-inch iPad Air starts at $599. 13-inch iPad Air starts at $799. Those
Yep.
prices are fine, I think. We'll
Yeah.
sort of talk about the whole lineup after the pros, but I think that's a pretty comfortable price to be at. Then, my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, we get to the new iPad Pro. So this looks very similar to the last iPad Pro, being just a thin sheet of glass and aluminum. Also 13-inch and 11-inch sizes. The 11-inch iPad Pro, the new one, is 5.3 millimeters thin, and the 13-inch is 5.1 millimeters thin, which makes it the thinnest Apple product ever. They're running an ad right now that compares it to the iPod Nano, and it's thinner than that. We haven't held these iPads yet. We're probably going to go to an Apple store soon and hold them once they're actually there. But everyone who's held them has said it is ridiculous how thin this tablet is.
Yeah.
So the 11-inch is 0.98 pounds. So we have a 5 millimeter thick, sub 1 pound tablet. So that's nice. They come in silver and black. The display has got a huge upgrade. They are both OLED. So we have OLED iPads now. Not just OLED iPads, though. We have tandem OLED iPads.
Which is a relatively newer technology that's been slowly being implemented into things.
To be honest, I did not know what that was before this event.
Really?
So this is the first consumer-grade, widely available tandem OLED display. What that means is it's basically two OLED panels stacked on top of each other.
Yeah.
So what that means is you get all the same benefits of OLED, which is really good contrast, really good color,
contrast.
individually lit pixels, perfect black levels.
It's basically as perfect as the display that we had.
Yeah, but problem with an OLED is
Power consumption.
the power consumption and the burn-in problem.
The burn-in problem was the biggest thing with OLED.
By stacking two panels on top of each other, you can run both panels at half brightness because it's two of them.
Right.
So you lessen your chance of burn-in with the same level of brightness.
Right.
But also, when you crank up the brightness, it's two panels. So you have 1,000 nits of full screen brightness and 1,600 nits of peak HDR brightness.
And it's obviously not as simple as we're making it seem.
Right. There's a lot of complicated Apple
it's not
marketing.
just two
tech.
OLED panels stacked on top of each other.
Right. It's like down to the
Right.
whatever
Pixel
they
count.
want, molecular level. It's that fancy.
Right.
It's called the Ultra Retina XDR. Whatever. Sounds good. His display is awesome.
It is great.
So you can now hold in your hand a paper-thin 13-inch OLED ProMotion 120 hertz iPad Pro.
It's like 50 papers thin.
It's a couple papers. It's not that many though.
I bet it's like 35.
We should add them up.
I 100%
See how many
We're gonna
papers-
bring a stack of 300 pieces of printer paper to the Apple Store, plop it down, and tell them to get counting.
We'll see how thick it actually is. There's a nano texture glass option
There
on
is.
it, which you should not buy.
No, it is literally just for a niche group of people.
It just makes your display matte, which makes all of the colors look worse. But I guess the Apple Pencil feels better on it, and it's not as reflective. It's $100 more. It's only available on the 1 terabyte option. They really don't intend for most people to buy this. But that's the big flagship feature on these. OLED displays on the iPad. Sounds good.
It does sound good.
Like for all of your Disney Plus watching, which is what these things are used for.
You're large, well, not TikTok scrolling anymore.
Yeah, right. but
Instagram Reels scrolling, YouTube Shorts scrolling.
it's going to be great. This is a phenomenal display. How many years do you think it'll be before this is on the MacBook? Not that the mini LED display you're looking at right now is bad.
No, it's gorgeous. But
But
honestly,
if that were a tandem OLED,
I genuinely would not be surprised if it came in the next one.
really? That computer really hasn't changed since M1.
The Pro?
Yeah.
Not at all.
So if they switched it up, did tandem OLED and all that would be sick. That would be very, very good. I would love a 16-inch MacBook Pro with that display.
That would be perfect.
I would watch that over a TV. My TV,
100%.
any day.
I already want to watch this over a TV.
Do you know how much money you have to spend on a TV to make it look better than your MacBook Pro
A
screen?
lot. Like upwards of 2K.
Yeah.
Not insignificant amount of upwards of 2K usually. But let's get into the performance of this. We just got M3 in MacBooks.
Like 6 months ago.
So yeah,
Was not that long ago.
we got M2 not that long after M1. and now we've got M4 in the new iPads.
Debuting in the iPad.
Yeah, which is pretty
That's
big.
a first.
That's a first. We haven't gotten a new chip debut in the iPad yet.
This is a second gen 3 nanometer process. It is mostly neural engine focused, so it's going to be a spec bump over M3 CPU and GPU wise.
AI stuff too.
Right, that's all neural engine. So 4 performance cores, 6 efficiency cores, 50% faster than the M2 iPad Pro and whatever benchmark they used. And then hardware accelerated ray tracing, 4% faster rendering than M2.
For all the ray tracing you're doing on your iPad.
Right, for all of the professional work.
Yeah.
This chip running at half power is like the same as the M2, or they did some kind of comparison like that. But the whole M4 chip is all built around a upgraded neural engine, 16 cores now, 38 trillion operations a second. They actually said AI.
They did.
They said the word. So we have AI in the Apple keynote now. They showed subject isolation, like
It's going to get good.
live in Final Cut. They said it's more powerful.
Final Cut Pro for iPad professional users, which we debuted last year.
Right. They said it's more powerful than any neural processing unit in any AI PC today.
Not true. Have you ever stacked 8 4090s on top of each other and started processing some AI content?
Now, technically, that is not an AI PC. So because they said AI PC. So it has to be AI branded. So I think they're just targeting like NVIDIA's new AI chip thing that we covered.
Yeah.
Not actually. Because if they just said PC.
Well, no, a lot of places use just stacked 4090s because of how fast they process. They're incredible GPUs.
But it doesn't have the sticker. It says AI inside.
It actually might, like on the board.
Because you could go fire up your crypto farm, and that could crank out some pretty good AI content. 20% improved thermals. That helps with the paper's thin design.
4 times faster than the last iPad Pro.
Yeah.
4 times is a lot. Not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times. That's 400% faster.
4 times because it's M4.
Right.
See what they did there?
See what they did?
They have Core ML API that's available for developers to get all the AI stuff running on device.
Love that.
All of that is great. AI focused chips are here. You know, Dub next month is going to be all utilizing this chip.
What if we get another Mac Pro?
I don't know, but Dub next month is going to be all AI focused. This iPad is really going to be put to good use next month. I'm really excited. We got Final Cut Pro and Logic updates for whoever uses those softwares exclusively. If you are making Final Cut videos on an iPad Pro instead of a Mac,
What are you doing?
I really want to know why.
I could honestly see where touchscreen would be nice on something like that.
Have you edited video?
On a large display.
Okay. Because it's all about precision cuts, which your thumb is not.
No,
great
I mean
at.
like if you also use the Magic Keyboard or whatever, because like for cuts and stuff, and then but stuff for like just like quick moving around like on the screen and then editing with the thing, that would be nice.
As long as you're not dealing with files, because then it's an iPad and you're stuck.
No, it's got the new M4.
Right.
Quick processing.
Because that fixed iPad OS.
Right.
Final Cut and Logic have been redesigned for touch. They have faster rendering.
Redesigned for touch.
Whatever. I don't know. That's what they said. Redesigned for touch.
Was it not designed for touch? It's an iPad.
They just ported the Mac version over and was like, good luck.
That's funny.
They have live multicam now in Final Cut, which basically means you can connect a bunch of iPhones to this iPad wirelessly, and you can have 4 people out shooting video, and you can watch all of the video live on your iPad.
Like a CCTV cam, but for phones and iPad.
Yeah. So like if you're out doing a video shoot, you can have 4 different angles, and you can watch all the angles on your iPad screen, and you can click on the feed and manually adjust like focus and exposure remotely from the iPad.
That's cool.
That's sick. They also kind of subtly introduced a pro camera app on the iPhone. That's like the most underrated announcement in this whole event. Because to go with this, there's now an app on the iPhone called Final Cut Camera that lets you manually adjust all of those toggles.
Huh.
Which is huge.
That is huge.
Because that's what every professional photographer. That's why Halide is such a big app. Because everyone wants like little controls over every bit of exposure on their iPhone. That's on the iPhone natively now. And you can edit off the drive now with Thunderbolt. Oh, that's great. You can have 4 times as many streams of ProRes RAW in your iPad timeline.
You better have a fat battery bank or just an outlet.
I have a question.
Answer.
If they said we can either make this iPad the thinnest Apple product or we can make it like a thick boy and give it a huge battery that lasts way longer. I don't know. Like if they made it twice as thick.
Twice as thick as like the thickness of my MacBook.
As if they made it like a MacBook thickness iPad. Maybe not. Maybe that's too thick. If they made a MacBook Air thickness iPad, you think that would be good or not? And just gave you like battery for 2 weeks.
If this battery lasted 2 weeks, screen on time.
Yeah.
I could use this.
Maybe.
I could use this.
Yeah.
Just get a stand.
Get
a wireless keyboard and mouse.
So then you have a worse MacBook.
Right.
Logic Pro looks great, I guess. You have new audio rendering features.
Always.
You can input a song and it will use AI and M4 chip to extract like drums and vocals and
Seriously?
stuff. Yeah.
That's huge.
All natively in Logic. That is sick. I hope that comes to the Mac.
That's actually huge.
Yeah. I hope that comes to the Mac.
Better come to Mac.
And then camera-wise, 12 megapixel camera. The ultra-wide camera is gone.
Yeah.
They just removed a camera.
Realistically, who's using the ultra-wide camera on?
I'll do you one better. Who's using the camera on their iPad? Who uses the LiDAR sensor on the iPad? I guess all the home improvement people doing the 3D scans and stuff. But I had a question, though. So the ultra-wide camera's off the iPad Pro. Why didn't they leave that on there and say that you can take spatial video with iPad Pro? Because on the 15 Pro Max with titanium, you can shoot spatial video with the main and ultra-wide camera and watch it on Vision Pro. Why didn't they bring that to iPad? I find that kind of weird.
Maybe they're trying to focus iPad more for professional usage and
this is a Pro.
Focused on
this camera. Is the iPad Pro. So I don't know. It has 4 mics, keeps LiDAR, has a new True Tone flash, all that. The document scanning feature is new, and it uses M4 with AI to remove shadows from your document scans.
That is cool.
That's huge. That's the biggest thing announced. I have scanned many documents with the Notes app.
So have I.
There have been shadows on the documents. For AI to remove that, that's cool. Front-facing camera is landscape now. Face ID and pencil sensors all move up there. We get the same new Magic Keyboard. All great. Very, very good. So that's iPad Pro.
iPad Pro is good.
M4 chip, OLED displays, very, very good. 11-inch iPad Pro is $999. 13-inch iPad Pro is $1299.
And honestly, I feel like for what you're getting, it's not terribly priced. Terribly overpriced.
I don't either. I think that this is a lot. This set the Air up nicely too, because the Air is now $599 and the Pro is now $999. There's a $400 difference. So before you had the 64 gig iPad Air at $599. As soon as you upgraded that to 128 gigs of storage, you were $100 away from the iPad Pro. Now it's a substantial difference. So that's more expensive now. We have a new Apple Pencil Pro, which I really wish I was the type of person who would use this because it's really cool looking. Has a bunch of new sensors. You can squeeze the Apple Pencil now for palette controls. It has a haptic engine in it for precise feedback. When you snap objects to a grid, you can feel it now in the pencil, which is cool. It has Find My now for when you lose it. In Procreate, you can roll the Apple Pencil to change the orientation of your brush, like an expo marker. If you've ever drawn something with an expo marker, you can use like the pointy side, or you can spin it and use the thick side and make a big line. Yeah, so you can do that with an Apple Pencil.
I kind of zoned out towards the end of the event, honestly. I stopped paying attention when I got to the Apple Pencil.
You can create animations in Procreate by just taking the Apple Pencil and like rolling and moving it now, and that's how you make the animation live. All cool. It's slightly longer. It works with the Air. $129.
Not bad.
We now have 4 Apple Pencils that you have to work your way through. Honestly, just buy this. But we got to like interview an artist or something. Because there are people out there who use this every day.
Uh-huh.
I wish I was that type of person because this looks really cool.
I know my dad used his every day for a long time. But like he just used it as
a stylus.
As a stylus.
He wasn't rolling paintbrushes. iPad Pro starts at 256 gigs of storage. The iPad 10th gen is now $100 cheaper. That starts at $350. That's kind of it. Whole event was shot on an iPhone, edited on Mac and iPad.
Yeah.
Cool. So, iPad lineup. So we're going to kind of figure out what iPad you should buy. Ready? So if you want an iPad, right, you walk into an Apple store and you say, I'd like an iPad, please. Mm-hmm. The 10th gen iPad for $350 is the one you should get.
They're still selling that?
The 10th gen is the new base iPad with the all-screen design.
Yes.
Yeah. With all the colors and stuff. Mm-hmm. So if you walk into an Apple store and you want to buy an iPad,
right,
buy the cheapest one. As
if
your
that's
content,
all you want. Like you just want a TikTok scroller, whatever. Yeah. YouTube watching.
If you know what an iPad Air is and like understand that it's better, that alone probably means you would appreciate the difference of an iPad Air. I think the iPad Air is the iPad that most people should buy. And then iPad Pro, you know if you're the person who needs that. Maybe you just want a really nice screen for YouTube, which I cannot fault you for.
You either have a lot of money and you want a TikTok watcher, or you need a pro touchscreen device.
Right. And the problem with the whole iPad lineup still is completely software now. Because hardware-wise, the iPad Pro is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like, in this current form factor, I don't see how you could get any better than this. It is the thinnest Apple product. It has an M4 chip. Beautiful displays. It's perfect hardware-wise. There's just nothing that can take advantage of this much power. Mm-mm. Not Final Cut, not Logic.
Logic can get pretty crazy.
But on an iPad with limited file stuff, and I just don't... The iPad is so good hardware-wise, but iPadOS holds it back so much from being incredible.
They teased a little while ago that like there was a very slight I think Austin Evans did a video on it like 3-4 years ago that like there's a possibility that macOS could come to iPad.
I don't think it ever would.
There's no way they would, because then they would kill the market for MacBook.
I want an iPad Pro so badly. I just cannot figure out how that fits into my workflow.
Right.
Because for my schoolwork, for my editing, I rely on all macOS stuff. Uh-huh. So the iPad, for me at the end of the day,
would
the
be a
iPad
TikTok
is
scroller.
content consumption device. Mm-hmm. I just don't know how I could use this as a MacBook replacement. I want to, because it's incredible. It's so nice to hold. It's so fun to use with the Magic Keyboard and the magnets and all that. But until DubDub comes around and until it gets AI features or something like that, it's an iPad.
It is an iPad.
Is that a bad thing? No. But it's an iPad. You don't need it. You don't need the iPad Pro. Honestly, instead of getting the new iPad Air, you should just go on Apple's website and get a refurbished M1 iPad Pro.
Yeah, that's
for
a good...
the same price. Because ProMotion and stuff.
Right.
But...
If you're into that.
So event thoughts. What do you think?
Honestly, met my expectations. I think the M4 coming out it's definitely something.
I think this is part 1 of the event. I think part 2 of the iPad event is the iPadOS section at DubDub.
Probably. That would make the most sense.
Better say, a month ago we gave you AI horsepower. Mm-hmm. Here's the track to use it on.
Right.
I saw this analogy on Twitter a lot. The new iPad is like a Bugatti in a school zone. It's like so overkill for what you can do with it. Mm-hmm. So DubDub, to keep the metaphor going, better be like a whole track. Because, man.
Software holds back the iPad for so long. It always has. But if we can get something to change that, that'll be great.
I would love to see the iPad super. But then if you make it too good, then who buys the Mac?
Right.
Because if the iPad can do everything now and it's more of a computer.
Kills the market.
Kills the Mac.
How would you like to see one on your desk? If you'd like to send us one so we can experience having the brand new...
Tim Cook, I know you're listening.
We know it. We know you're one of our listeners, one of our many
Happy listeners.
Happy listeners.
So Tim, send us a 13-inch iPad Pro to review. We will put it through the ringer. We'll edit
We
the
will
podcast
put Mac OS on it, whether you like it or not.
We will export all of the streams of ProRes, and we will get that thing to overheat. And then we'll watch the jerry rig video of him snapping it in half
Yeah.
on our tandem OLED. And there you go.
So last episode, Andrew brought to me this proposed game where I won $1 and then lost $1.
Just a side note.
So we had a super packed episode today. So my game for Andrew is going to be postponed till next episode, which hopefully will be in about 2 weeks.
It is coming. We also have a very interesting interview lined up.
We
with
sure
a
do.
very interesting guest.
Maybe with our topic.
Maybe continuing the topic of AI.
My game topic.
We will be looking forward to that.
Yes, we will.
In the meantime, Tim Cook, send us the iPad Pro. If you'd like to go snap it in half on YouTube, we will watch that too.
You can send us the links. I'm at ColeWWWeb.
I'm at Utterly Drew. Have a good 2 weeks.
And we'll see you then.
Bye, y'all.